Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sunday Shenanigans with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308, and we are here with Kat, the ASOC Prod, and the Peanut Gallery. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
And we will be playing, we will be sort of playing along with this week's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is a clip show for their summer break. So there'll be several different guests on today. But first, today's pre-rolls brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, 105 West Main Street. Above the Brick, Suite 200. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. They have the lowest prices in town, according to my own highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events, such as Frosty Fridays, the private sales event, where you can find our other two sponsors, the Kush Gang, purveyors of fine edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse Craft cannabis products. I'm still not sure how I want to tagline their name. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville, all one word, .com. Lockpick! Much love, Lockpick. It's doing the wrong alert. Oh well. Good morning to you, you beautiful person, as well. I've missed you. I've missed you so much. It has been a dark time in this household, as I have not been online very much to catch up with you, Lockpick. So, I've missed you too. Glad to have you back. We will be covering political topics on today's show because, you know, it's a political show. I'd like to say that any political opinions expressed herein belong to us, the expressor of the opinion, the channel, and the label, but not necessarily to any of our sponsors, including Hidden Leaf, Firehouse, and Kush Gang. I've had a house full of Brits, so my attention has been spread thin. I bet. It's been spread thinner than Marmite on a piece of toast.
Mm-hmm.
A house full of Brits. Spread thinner than Marmite on a piece of buttery toast. Yeah, I believe that's the ad read. So let us hop in. Lockpick, have you had enough tea for everybody? Is everybody, you know?
No, the question is there now a proper kettle for the tea?
That is a good question. All right. Let us get this started.
Comes from Focus Features. The time has come to say goodbye. Downton Abbey returns for one final, unforgettable event, and
Can
everything
y'all hear
has
it?
led to this. See Downton Abbey, the grand finale on the big screen.
Aloe Vera, because my voice can soothe any sunburn. From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm the man they call Bill Vera because my voice can soothe any sunburn.
Cute.
Bill Curtis. And here's your host at the Studebaker Theater in the Fine Arts Building in Chicago, Illinois, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everybody. It's the second week of our summer break, and even though I am recording this in advance, I can confidently say it's not working. We need more vacation.
We must relax harder, more.
Well, we double our efforts to expend zero effort. Here are some of the wonderful things we actually put work into last year.
In May, Peter and guest scorekeeper Alzo Slade were joined by actor Nathan Lane, the star of the hit sitcom Mid-Century Modern. It wasn't his first TV show, but it was his first one that lasted.
This is not the first time you have starred in a TV show, though, but it may be the most successful.
I mean, in terms of a multi-camera show in front of a live audience, I've done a couple in the past that haven't been so successful. So this has been a great pleasure.
Right. And so what happened? Did you just have poor luck in the past?
Well, I don't know. How much time do you have? When I was a kid, I was cast in a show, a situation comedy starring Mickey Rooney and Dana Carvey called One of the Boys.
Okay.
And that was, I knew going into that, it was not going to last. And Dana still talks about it. He's still traumatized by Mickey Rooney, as we all were. And then I did a show with the creators of Frasier, and I thought that would be a good idea. They had won the Emmy 5 years in a row, and they pitched me an idea I didn't like, and then I pitched them an idea they didn't like, and then they came up with this idea that we wound up doing, in which I was going to play a famous opera singer who lost his voice in a freak accident and had to leave the opera world, and he went to live with his mother and sister at their winery in the Napa Valley. And
Wow.
by the time the premise was, you were finished explaining it, people had left the room.
Right?
So that didn't go so well.
So this is exciting. The show, let's talk about Mid-Century Modern.
Okay.
My understanding is that it was pitched to you. This is made by the creators of the classic and brilliant sitcom Will and Grace, and they came to you and they said, it's a gay Golden Girls. Is that correct? Is that how they pitched it?
Yes, and I thought, well, that's kind of redundant, but
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like,
but it was actually Ryan Murphy. I was working for Ryan Murphy doing this miniseries about the Menendez brothers, and he had read this script, and he had never done a situation comedy.
Menendez brothers. Mendez brothers, my bad. What's his name? The older one denied parole.
Yeah. Have you heard any of that?
I've heard a little. I've been paying attention to it a little bit. What are you two? Knock it off. Yeah, I've been paying a little bit of attention to it. That it seems. I'm not sure entirely how I feel about this, but I'm kind of like. But my opinion is that, their reasonings behind denying parole feel an awful lot like. They were self-defeating rules. They're punishing this guy for having had to exist in the world they put him in. They're saying things like, cell phone usage and other infractions like that while inside mean that he's not ready to, follow the rules outside. And
Yeah.
I find that those reasons for denying bail, or not bail, but parole, to be spurious. I don't agree with them as reasons to deny parole, especially for someone who it's still questionable as to whether they're in the right place to begin with. I've always felt that the Mendez brothers didn't really belong in prison. They belonged in help. They needed help. Yeah, it's like I didn't feel like prison was the right place for them. So I don't think that it's correct to judge them by the rules of I don't think it's correct to judge people by the rules of incorrect incarceration.
Which is where some of this comes down to, because if you remember, originally they were sentenced to life without parole, period.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there was a new prosecutor that got hired within like the last year.
Right.
That decided to change that.
Yeah. So, that makes me think that their behavior should have started. I mean, if they really wanted to judge these guys, they should do it based on the behavior of the past year, when it was possible that they could get parole. Otherwise, they were just living in the environment in which they were thrust.
You're not wrong. I think the reason they're trying is because this is coming. The change in how their sentence was, changing it from life with no possibility to 50 years to life with a chance of parole.
Yeah.
Came after Netflix made a documentary about them, and they started reviewing past evidence in a potentially different light with the new prosecutor.
Thanks, Brock. Right. So the documentary, the new prosecutor, and I'm guessing that a whole lot of the old whoever was there before, are still there. So a lot of the people who would be embarrassed by the release of the Mendez brothers are still there, being like, maybe not.
And then, so you've got that part going on. You got the older, everybody that's been working there a while is still there. You got the newer prosecutor that looked at this and said something, and then either there was a shift in people, or there was an election. I'm not entirely clear, but the new, the new prosecutor, and by new I mean he'd been there like 5 or 6 years at this point. He was no longer the one in charge. They actually had a new one who looked at this and went, no, we're not doing this, and tried to withdraw the previous petition for resentencing, which the judge would not allow.
Okay.
So the denial of bail feeling more like the last ditch effort to quote unquote fix what the guy watching the documentary was messing with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which be why, you know, pulling things like, oh, they touched a cell phone.
Okay, that does explain why it feels like that. That explains why I got that impression from a little bit of information. Like,
Whether that is accurate, I cannot say, but that's my read on following the timeline of how things have been happening.
okay.
Especially with the whole Netflix brings up stuff. We're re-looking at this, we're actually filing petitions, and then things are changing, and you've got a prosecutor saying, well, he was leaving anyway, so he was just throwing monkey wrenches in the works to make things go bad. I want to withdraw this. And the judge going,
No.
no, because he was acting in his correct capacity at the time, so you have to deal with this now, and you have to run it correctly now.
Man. I always kind of felt like the Mendez brothers were caught up in this social political sort of thing that
And it is Menendez, because they do have a double EN in there.
Menendez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not Mendez. Okay. So yeah, that's unfortunate. This is not a good look. Not a good look.
No, it's not. And it is less of a good look when you have investigative journalists turning up enough information and questioning enough information that they get away with making an entire documentary about this. And they're, you can't make a documentary like this in like a month. It takes time to actually go digging and putting stuff together and filming stuff.
It does.
I mean, the editing alone probably took 2 months.
Yeah. It is not a. As someone who is not even close to that level, yeah, it takes a long time.
Especially when you've got things like interviews and stuff that you have to schedule and go do.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a prosecutor, as a police office, as people that are supposed to be in charge of investigating things properly, if you've got investigative journalists snooping around and they're finding stuff or they're making connections that you never saw before, the fact that they waited until the documentary was finished and released and they start making moves like, okay, you can be kind of forgiving because you're new to this. You might have been around and heard about this case, but you weren't part of it.
Right. However,
yeah,
you don't get to it now that new stuff has come to light. You don't get to just brush it off.
Right.
You don't get to say, okay, that's it. What was done was done. I think the American justice system, I'm not sure it was ever really about what it claimed to be about. Ideals like beyond a shadow of a doubt, ideals like It's
It's not
better
beyond a shadow
to
of doubt, it's beyond reasonable doubt.
beyond a reasonable doubt. It's better to let a guilty man go than arrest an innocent man. I use man in the
Yeah.
general term here. It's better to yeah. It should be harder to incarcerate people than it is to prove them in it, or to get them free. It's not, it is, and our justice system's never really been designed that way, because a lot of our justice system has been about curtailing rights for certain groups of people. But it's always tried to pay lip service to these ideals.
Mhm.
And so I think that there is a fundamental hypocrisy within the justice system. I also think that there are two justice systems, one for the rich and powerful and one for the rest of us.
Mhm.
Actually, I think there are three. I think there's one for the rich and powerful, one for the rest of us white, and then one for black people. One for black people and minorities. Because I think I see a different side of the justice system than a black person who lives my same life would. So it is. I don't think we have anything close to the justice system that we espouse.
You know why that is, right?
Well, because a lot of it was based on catching slaves.
Was. What
Yeah.
is now is more written and codified and clear, but the reason that you've got that inconsistency among everything is because it is run by humans.
And there is profit motive in it for them. Incarceration is the only form of legal chattel slavery left.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a profit driven business.
But at the base of it, it's still run by humans. And I know I've mentioned that I sit and watch various different people on YouTube, lawyers and such. One of the nifty things, thanks to 2020, is there were a significant number of courtrooms that started just live streaming to YouTube so that they could maintain their open public courtroom, even though they had to have, one or two people in there at a time.
Right.
And it has been interesting to see. There are some really, really good, as in they are following what's actually written down in the law. They're not going off on weird tangents. Judges and prosecutors. And then there's some just idiots. There's one guy, I don't know if you see him on YouTube ever, but he runs a courtroom in Texas. And live streaming throughout the day the number of cases that he throws out, because it's very clear that whatever was happening was not actually happening. It was racially or other motivation for, why this interaction happened. He's like, yeah, no, no, you're free to go. It is not illegal to drive while black. And he has literally said that to them.
It's not
And
illegal to drive while black.
yeah,
Sir, what United States have you been living in?
one that he's been trying to
Or
maintain.
the laws as written.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know. But as
So,
somebody who has gotten pulled over for driving while black,
oh yeah.
it's like, I mean, I know you say it's not illegal.
Well, that's the thing is it is not supposed to be illegal. Written as the law states, it's not illegal.
Right.
But you have people and humans of every version that are running this thing from the bottom to the top.
Judge Fleischer TV.
That's yep.
Good grab.
He's currently not. All of the courtrooms in his district are currently not streaming like they were. They're going through a bit of a restructuring, but yeah, Judge Fleischer.
I'm not surprised they're going through a restructuring. I bet you that is coming from the top.
Might be, but I've seen some of the more even-handed ones. I've seen some in Illinois. I've seen some in Minnesota. I've seen one that's actually in Florida.
Yo, that's cool.
Yeah, who's been, and they're pretty consistent on trying to make sure that whatever they're judging, whatever they're arbitrating, they're doing what's written. Then you've got some judges that are a little bit skeevy, and they've got actually decent prosecutors. They're like, okay, so it's this, and we're dropping this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The problem is that people that want to actually follow what's written are the minority of the group.
right. The more local justice system has become a for-profit boys club in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And because judges are supposed to be beyond reproach,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard, even if you have a lot of pretty damning evidence of conflict of interests, such as judges owning stakes in jails and prisons, for-profit jails and prisons, in the sectors, in the districts in which they work, and have a history of sending people to those jails and prisons. That is, it's still not enough to, even having that information isn't enough to even get them to recuse themselves from cases that they might profit from. They are far enough beyond reproach that it is, or supposed to be far enough beyond reproach, that to take action against them is incredibly, incredibly difficult, very dangerous, and essentially a bad idea. Like, the only people who can take them on are the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the good ones have to be absolutely beyond reproach in their entire existence and behavior. All of their decisions have to be, and even then, that's not, you don't go into that looking to be able to maintain your position as a judge.
Mm-hmm.
They are still human.
Yes.
It's not fair. It's not fair at all.
And
But
there's no rule that you can write down that a human will not figure out a way to get around.
right. It's not fair. They are only human. Thing is, the unfairness is baked into the system so that the ones that it is benefiting will continue to benefit. That it is
Mhm.
near impossible to change the system to stop benefiting them. And it's a feature of the system that they built, not a bug.
Yeah.
It's about what you do after you mess up. I agree that all things need to change, including current judges, yeah. Thank you. I mean, I think that's not what you said. What did you mean then? In any case, yes, but I'm not saying that. I think it is some birthday this turned out to be. What I think that there's a lot of baked into this system. There's a lot of rugged individualism, which you can also read for it's somewhere between blaming, basically blaming putting the onus of everything on the person who's convicted. Because, at that point, it's not about, at that point, the system wants to say it's not about what you've had to do to fit into the system in which you're in, how you've had to survive, or what you've been driven to do. It's about how you choose to behave in a system now that it is even more difficult to exist in. And that's where I find that that's the denial of the Menendez brother parole. I find that that's that sort of thin excuse to try to keep the status quo the way it is, that I really disagree with. And I understand why it's the way it is, and I understand how it's systemic, not personal. I also understand how it's personal. You point out that it's because there are humans in charge of the system. I argue that, yeah, but also no. The system was designed in this way. So not only are there greedy humans at the, at the helm of this system, but this is also a system designed to eat people. I mean, yeah, bad people in charge, but what they're driving is called a people eater. It's not like it's designed to, grow flowers. So it is. This is sort of my comprehensive take on what's going on with the Menendez brothers. They shouldn't have been sent to prison in the first place. They should have been given help. They should have been put somewhere where maybe they are always going to be messed up enough that reintegrating with society is really not a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
But they should have been put somewhere where they had the opportunity to get better, reclaim some of the agency in their own life, or claim some of the agency in their own life. The only moment of agency that these two boys had in their own life was that one moment they chose to take their parents' life. That was their singular moment of agency. That was the only thing where these two people have really owned their own existence at all. And that's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tragic. It's tragic that it got to the point where the only way they were going to have agency in their own life was to take someone else's life. But that is also something that happens all the time around the world, all over the place, everywhere. People are being abused in that way to the point where the only way they're going to have agency is extreme measures. And this isn't just happening on a personal level, this is happening on a systemic level. You know, so I really have, if nothing else, empathy for their situation, for what they're going through. I have some empathy for that. I think that couldn't they have just run away? I think not with the amount of money and power their parents had. I got the feeling that they didn't have if they'd have tried to run. And if I'm remembering correctly, they had tried to run at one point. You know, it's not.
They had, but they were both underage at the time.
It's if they, I do feel like it would have been so much better for everyone if they could have gotten themselves out of that situation and just, gotten safe and away and gotten the help they need that way. So they could have just waited until they were old enough and walked away from the money if it was that bad. I I don't. I think that. I think that's a hard thing to say from where we're sitting. Any sympathy for them still ends when you have to figure out if the plan was an effort to inherit the wealth instead of actually to save themselves from a situation. I get that. I get that. Um, I really don't. I'm really inclined to believe it wasn't about the money. Um, I have a believe the victim mentality. You know, uh, and I think if there is, again, I'm not saying that they should have been let go, acquitted and put back out into the world after that. I think that I think that there is something in between what happened to them. Plenty of people have shitty parents. Plenty of people are victims. That is true. And plenty of people don't go murdering. But there's gotta be something in between. There's gotta be something in between. I don't know, because I wasn't there, because I don't know what happened, and because I don't know what was actually going through their heads in the moment. I I'm reticent to judge. Yeah, the only factor that does make this stand out is the money. It literally gave them an incentive that murder is also an option of escape. I mean, yeah.
Honestly, the thing that
Eh,
made that the question is that in most, not all, but most cases where you have someone so hemmed in that that is their option for escape because running will not work. Usually it's an instantaneous type thing, and um, there are no steps taken to make it an alibi.
yeah.
That is honestly what has harmed them the most is that they did take steps to make it look like they weren't home at first.
I mean, yeah.
Um, by doing that, that's what put the money in question versus they were in my room in the middle of the night, they were hurting me, and I snapped.
Right. Although, you know, having to admit at that time, 13, 14, maybe 15. Yeah, I mean, they were kids. They were still kids.
No, they were 18 and 21 when
Oh,
they committed this murder.
they were still kids. But
They
yeah,
were still
18 and
kids.
21. Okay.
Yeah, they at that point they legally could have walked away and said no. And honestly, what has made this the less case of believe the victim is the fact that they went through the steps to create an alibi.
Uh, I mean, yeah, it does. That looks really bad. That puts a bad look on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I think, you know, I think relitigating the case
mhm.
uh, is something is something that ought to happen. I think they really ought to relitigate the case. I think they really. Okay, lockpick. Even if when it's an option, it's not always psychologically or emotionally an option.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is impossible to break away from your abuser. Whether or not there's money involved, whether or not there's active, it is, and it is even harder when that's family. When
You're trying to break strings, and the person that tied them is the one you're trying to break with.
yeah, it's
I mean, in the 90s, simply having all of their actual paperwork locked up in the family safe where they couldn't get to it would have made going anywhere and doing anything hard. No social security card, no birth certificate.
there are those factors. There are also his mother was crawling away. He ran back to the car and reloaded and then returned for the fatal shot. I mean, I'm not defending everything he did here. I'm not, like I said, I can't know what actually happened. I'm not speaking for him here at this moment when I'm talking about how hard it is to break from an abuser. This goes much deeper into things like, why don't, if your husband beats you, why don't you just leave him? It takes a lot to break away from someone. Even harder, Brock, because money is so necessary in this world to exist, and is so deified that breaking from money is even harder than breaking from people. And breaking from people can be almost impossible. I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of people. I have a lot of sympathy for the world. I have a lot of empathy for the world. I don't want to dehumanize anyone. Even the ones who it is hard to humanize. Even the ones that I celebrate their passing. I don't want to dehumanize them. I want to remember that they were people. Bad people, but people. I want to understand the Menendez brothers better. I personally, there's a lot in there that I have empathy for. And I feel like they got the raw end of a deal. Ultimately, whether it was who they got for parents, how they were raised, how the legal system treated them, or how it's treating them now, they're getting the raw end of a deal. And I am not cynical enough to believe that the money was the main motivator or the only motivator. Now, I do see where they did some things that are not a good look, and it's like, okay, you do not belong in public. But lifetime incarceration without the possibility of rehabilitation, and when you're starting to look at that, it doesn't have to be a main motivator, but it definitely put the incentive to pre-plan a murder for a few days, and then they try to craft alibis. If they had just snapped and grabbed daddy's shotguns or some crap, maybe I'd buy it, but they planned it. They bought the weapons. You know? And in our relitigation of this case, we are a hung jury. And in my opinion, that's the way the legal system should work. You know? I mean, I'm not even saying it was a spur of the moment sort of thing. Although that, dumping ammo into a body, coming back to reload to make sure they're dead, to make sure it happened, like, that's emotional.
Yeah.
That is emotional. And that's what speaks to me of an emotional state, not cold calculated for the money. Because if it was cold calculated for the money, they'd have, put some ammo into them, and then when they're, on the ground or whatever, just... And you only use as much ammo as you need. You only...
I'm going to say something that's going to sound offensive, but it has a very good purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So please, hear me out to the end. I did not ask for your opinion. In fact, I would say, wait, don't tell me.
Ha! That's fair. I want to say one last thing to what Lockpick just said. And I take your point, Lockpick. I take your point. I want to say that maybe sympathy would be the wrong word. I keep backing myself up to say empathy. And I think that maybe we need to indict the system that created the school shooter, and fix it before more school shooters are made. I do feel like there is a difference between this situation and that situation. I do also think that while ethics are universal, morals are situational. And ethics aren't even universal. They're just... But morals are situational. I think that you really have to look at each situation. I don't think that murder is correct. I'm not even ethically for justified killing. But I also don't think it's correct to dismiss out of hand someone who does something awful without examining what led up to it, who they were, and why it happened. And I think that at the point that we stop examining it is the point at which we are doing a disservice not only to the humans who have committed the wrongs, but the people who have been wronged. And that's where I stand on that. And with that, I will rein us back into Wait, Don't Tell Me. Because we have been going for an hour, but we have only covered 3 minutes and 50 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said we're back, you meant we're back.
We're back. Well, and a lot of stuff has gone on that we haven't talked about, so we are stopping to talk about a lot of stuff. No, it was not your fault this time. Not totally. Also, you know, I appreciate the pushback. I appreciate that both of you, Brock and Lockpick, push back against what I think. You know, my opinions. I think that's a good thing. All right, back to it.
A situation comedy before, a multi-camera situation comedy, but he thought the script was great, and they had written it. I was told with me in mind, and so
back to Nathan Lane.
I read it and I thought it was hilarious, and that's how it all came to be.
I'm going to confess something. I have been a fan of yours for decades, and I only found out this week that you are not in fact Jewish. And when I got over my shock,
right,
increased respect for you as an actor. I mean, do you and John?
I'm at this point, I'm an honorary Jew.
I was about to
you
say.
Are. This goes back to 1992, doing Guys and Dolls on Broadway, playing Nathan Detroit, but once I played that part, it has certainly I had played many other Jewish characters.
I know it. I thought you were just coasting.
Some of my favorite roles are Jewish.
I wanted to ask you quickly, when you were on the show last time, you talked about some odd jobs you had. But we were looking over your resume, and you are a Broadway legend. I don't know how many Tonys you've won. You just rule that street. But I found out that you're...
3. I've won 3.
3. You keep count. I don't keep count.
3.
1 Tony for each panelist.
Exactly. But I found out that your Broadway debut was very surprising to me. It was a show called Merlin with...
No,
it was not your Broadway debut.
No, that's
Sorry.
wrong.
You should get a point for that, Nathan.
My Broadway debut was in 1982 at the Circle and Square Theater. I did a revival of the Noel Coward play, President Laughter,
Right.
Directed by and starring George C. for Cuddles Scott. For those who remember George C.
I remember him well, but that, yeah. But then, so I'm sorry, that was not. But then you did Merlin with Doug Henning. Doug Henning was this, for those who don't remember, he was a very famous magician in like the 70s.
Oh, God.
He was sort of famous for his sort of, shall we say, hippie aura. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. Marty Short on SCTV used to do an impression of him. He had a severe overbite, and he was trying to bring magic back to the magic profession, and so he did not refer to what he did as tricks, but they were illusions. And he was a lovely man, and Doug was, I don't know if you've heard, but he was a triple threat. He couldn't sing, act, or but he was a lovely guy, and you know, the first rule of musical theater is don't do a show that's built around magic tricks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did have a little bit of a run, but yes, it was doomed from the start.
And yet here you are.
And when I remember having to I had to leave President Laughter, and I had to tell George C. Scott that I was leaving the show to do this musical. Because he knocked on my door, and I opened it, and he said to me, "You're leaving me to do a magic show?"
This is going to be the outtakes for people that support public radio at a very high dollar number.
I have mixed feelings about making you play. I'd just rather hear more stories, but you know the rules. If you come in the show, you play a game, Nathan, and this time we've asked you here to play a game we're calling...
Hey, stay in your lane, Nathan Lane.
So, yeah, your name being Nathan Lane, as we all know, we were going to ask you about staying in your lane and other driving-related matters. Answer two to
You're kidding, because I don't drive.
Well, I wondered about that.
This is the wrong game for me.
It's like a Zen thing. An empty mind leads to success. Here we go. Who is Nathan Lane playing for?
David Young of Phoenix, Arizona.
Finland is pretty serious about speeding tickets. When one guy was pulled over in 2023 for driving less than 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, what happened to him? A, the gas was drained from his car by police, and he had to push it home. B, he was fined more than $100,000. Or C, he was forced to stand on a nearby corner for a whole day and hold up a sign saying, "I am sorry."
I really want it to be A.
I think the last one.
The sign, he had to stand there.
A sign saying, "I'm sorry."
In Finnish,
I want
presumably.
In Finnish.
You're both
exactly.
going B?
No, he was actually fined more than
I'm going A.
$100,000.
Oh.
$1,000.
You're going
C,
A.
Finland has this system where they have a sliding scale for moving violation fines based on your income, and he was really rich.
Oh!
Yeah.
What?
You both have two more questions, and you have a lot of fans in this
I like
room,
that.
so I think you'll be okay. We get news accounts every week about people using dummies to drive in the carpool lane. Are you aware of this, Nathan? Perhaps you've seen it in California.
Oh,
They have
sure.
these high occupancy
I
vehicles.
always travel with dummies. Yeah.
And one such person who tried that got himself into even more trouble when he got pulled over, and the highway patrolman came up to give him a ticket for driving in the carpool lane with a dummy. What did the man do to get himself in trouble? A, he claimed, "That's not a dummy. That's where I hide all my drugs." B leaned over to the dummy and said loudly enough for the cop to hear, "Don't worry, I got this." Or C just quickly swapped seats and claimed the dummy was driving.
C. I think it's C. I want it to be B, but I think it's C.
I say he leaned over and said, "Don't worry, I got this."
You're right.
Oh.
All right, you have one more question. If you get this right, you win. If you don't like driving, you can take one of those self-driving taxis that are now cruising around Los Angeles and San Francisco. But you should be aware they come with a bit of a risk. What is that risk? A, The taxis are programmed to find the shortest route to the destination, which has led to them driving through houses, up stairways, and down into sewers. B, they periodically interface with your phone and take you to places from your incognito mode search history.
Oh, no.
Or C, the mobs of people who sometimes attack the cars and set them on fire.
C.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the arsonist in the audience.
You're right. That's what's happening. So far, I should say, they haven't done it to any autonomous taxi with a passenger in it, but they have done it, and one of these days they might get carried away. Also, how did Nathan Lane do on our quiz this time?
He got enough points to win the game and an honorary driver's license.
Well done. Nathan Lane, I cannot tell you what a thrill it is for me to talk to you after a lifetime of being a fan. Nathan Lane is starring in Mid-Century Modern on Hulu. Nathan Lane, thank you so much for being with us today. What a pleasure to have you. When we come back, we've got panel questions you've never heard before, plus Tig Notaro and Sterling K. Brown, all included at no extra charge. That's when we return with more Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me from NPR. Time. Crush your CookUnity.
Barrett, Ronchers.
As you pass them by.
Active ingredient.
From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis. And here is your host at the Studebaker Theater in downtown Chicago, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. While we may be wasting our vacation by doom scrolling the news, at least we're doing it while getting a tan. While we soak up the sun, how about you soak up some of our favorite moments from the past year?
We don't broadcast everything we do. Some things we save because our parents never taught us to share. So here are some questions for our panelists that you've never heard before.
Joelle, this week, the Chicago Sky WNBA team unveiled their new mascot, Sky the Lioness, replacing their old mascot, which was what? A duck. Not a duck.
A cloud?
Sky, I don't know. An elephant? Ellie the elephant.
No, his signature moves.
No, Ellie, right?
His signature moves were like spreading his legs in the subway and then explaining to the female team members how they should play the game.
Don't talk to me like this, okay? Take me out to dinner first, Peter. A man?
A man. The mascot for the Chicago WNBA team was a man. Known just as Sky Guy, who would appear on the court with a big, mascot outfit with sunglasses, a really big jaw, a jetpack for some reason, and according to his official bio, 5 younger sisters who play basketball. Oh, I get it, right? As a man with sisters, he understands everything about their struggles and would like to speak for them.
More proof that men shouldn't be able to vote on things.
The Chicago Chad. I like
every time
this.
he says duck, I say men shouldn't be able to vote.
This is the wildest game of Duck, Duck, Goose I've ever heard of. I know what it is.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Stop.
We fully lost control.
Hold on. Everybody.
What did you do?
Everybody calm down.
In Minnesota.
Two things. I know that here you call it duck, duck, gray duck. I know that. Remember, I lived here. That's all I did.
Peter had his do I have to pull this show over voice?
Pretty much.
Like a real Sky guy.
I was sky-splaining that the Chicago Sky has finally decided that maybe as a premier women's basketball team, we should not have a guy as our mascot, and they've replaced it with Sky the Lioness, inspired by the famous lions outside the Chicago Art Institute. It is, of course, a female lion because, as everyone knows, male lions basically just lie around all day, while female lions hustle in defense and are totally selfless with the ball. And here's the thing: it's not going to be a sudden transition. The two mascots will share duties through the end of the season. At which point, Sky the lioness will eat Sky Guy alive on center court.
Duck, duck, gray goose. Duck, duck, gray goose.
No, Duck, Duck, Grey Goose is the adult version. Jeff, a day at the pool is going to be different now for children after scientists have proven that the kids do not have to do what?
Wear sunscreen?
Get out to pee.
No, I feel it important to say, as we are broadcast to many families listening together, yes, you still have to get out to pee.
Reapply
This is something I will
sunscreen?
say for absolute. My mother told me this when I was a little boy.
Oh,
You don't
wait
have to
2
wait
hours.
an hour before you get into the
Yeah.
pool.
After
you eat.
Exactly right. You don't have to wait to swim after eating. You can eat all you want, jump off the diving board, have a sandwich on the way down. However, science does confirm that the pool water will turn blue if you pee in it. So,
Well, a lesson learned the hard way.
were you guys told this when you were kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a full hour for me. It was only half an hour for you.
Well, actually, my mother, she was a Jewish mother. She worried it was the next day. Zach, this week, the internet debated something called the Danny DeVito rule. Now, that is a theory that the way to tell if a romantic comedy is actually good is it is good if it would work if what?
Danny
If
DeVito
Danny
played the
DeVito
lead.
was the romantic male lead in it.
Exactly right. So this is the test. This is the test. We all see these rom-coms and the handsome guy goes to great lengths to win the girl, right? But would it still be charming and not kind of creepy and scary if instead of like a heartthrob, the role was played by Danny DeVito, right? So think of, say, Danny DeVito holding a boombox over his head outside his girlfriend's window from the movie Say Anything.
See,
is that still
however-
adorable, or does she get a restraining order?
It was never adorable. Romancing the Stone, right? It was never adorable. That was creepy when, oh gosh, his name, DeVito is, well, yeah, when John Cusack did it. It was creepy when John Cusack did it. And, okay, it's a creepy move, number one. Number two, Cusack has a creepy face. Like, that is not the face of a safe person.
Definitely
would
not the safe face of the safe person. Gross point blank.
Right? I'm just saying. Danny DeVito is a heartthrob sometimes. Some of his roles, not so much. I mean, it's not bad. It's creepy. It's the lack of face. I found him off-putting in The Adventures of Nat Again. I had the same initial reaction to him that wolf had. However, my reaction to Danny DeVito has never been that bad. He's always been, I mean, if nothing else, he's funny.
He is. If nothing else, this particular trend of replacing whoever the main character is with someone that is not classically in that role and looking at the actions helps go with, okay, so this is really creepy. You're just kind of feeling the vibe for the guy and letting, or girl, and letting the creepiness, you're ignoring the red flags because of the pretty eye candy.
Right.
It's helping point out that there were red flags there, but you refused to see them.
Right. And I think that that's brilliant. I mean, I think, I think if a rom-com would work with Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman, especially these days, if Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman could make it work, make a rom-com work, because they're divorced now, aren't they? Just to point this out. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I already read that, Lockpick.
Yeah. They are divorced, but they are amicably divorced, and they're actually still helping each other do things. They just can't live with each other anymore.
Which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that I wouldn't be able to live with either one of them.
Probably not.
All right, back to it.
Order. But not all rom-coms would fail the test. Pretty Woman still would work with Danny DeVito. When Harry Met Sally, absolutely. Titanic, yes, and Danny DeVito would have fit on the door.
Is this a diss on Danny DeVito or a diss on the fact that most rom-coms suck?
I think it is meant to be the latter.
Okay, hold on. Because there's entire industries and life itself based on men thinking women are hot or not.
Right.
And so what women get this one little area of culture.
Right.
Where they're allowed to think that the guy is cute and picture themselves making out with him. And now that's being threatened by Danny DeVito.
Wait a minute. McGee, they're not actually going to put Danny DeVito in the movie.
I know. I'm escalating the threat.
I understand. I just want you to know you will still go to the movies and there'll be handsome men.
It's okay if the movies are garbage and it's about the guy being handsome. I just want to let women have one thing.
All right.
Jerry Maguire.
Yes, but can't we have both?
It was a very specific Danny DeVito.
I know. That was actually Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I got it, Adam.
I'm just saying, can't we have both? Can't we have hot guys in well-written rom-coms? I mean, do rom-coms really have to reinforce negative behaviors, is really my question.
I mean, they don't have to, no.
If you're listening to the show and feeling a little left out, come see us live.
Stalker
you can see
movies.
Us most weeks in Chicago at the Studebaker Theater, and on September
with you on
18th,
that.
we'll be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Fabulous Fox Theater. For tickets and information, go to nprpresents.org.
During a show in April, we had the chance to talk to two people we admire a lot.
Actor Sterling K. Brown, who was then starring in a new show called Paradise, and comedian Tig Notaro, who was starring on our panel.
Peter asked Sterling K. Brown about his frustrating problem both with Paradise and his prior show, This Is Us. He couldn't really talk about the show without spoiling the big reveal.
Yeah, it's the same creator of the show, so I can say that Dan Fogelman created This Is Us, created Paradise. Very talented man, love him dearly. But the whole time when you're talking about This Is Us, you're like, oh, it's a family drama, and it's got, all the feels and all that kind of stuff. But if you know the end of the pilot, you're like, wait a minute. All these people are related? You know what I'm saying? Sorry if I ruined anything for people who haven't watched This Is Us. It's been out for a really long time.
Oh,
that's the Us!
Oh my God! I didn't know who it was about. Yes, famously, I think I can talk about this. The pilot of This Is Us, this family drama, you're having all these different characters, and then you find out at the very end that you've been watching in different timelines, and some of these characters are the parents of these other characters who are now grown into adults. How nice. So, have you tried talking about what the twist in the new show, Paradise, is not? So, for example, it turns out that your character is James Marsden's grown son.
Whoa. Would be funny.
That would be. Have you come up with any tricks or like?
Well, to be the adult son of more white people, I think would be going to the well. It's definitely not that. I usually just try to talk about the things that I can. The president dies in the pilot. But most folks, and you see that in the preview.
Right, yeah.
And I say that's the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. And
the whole audience going, which president though?
Right. The president in the show.
In the show, yeah. Everybody calm down. I have to ask you about another project you do. You do, and I believe you're coming back and doing it again, a podcast with your wife, right?
I do indeed. My wife and I, Ryan Michelle Bathay, we do a podcast called We Don't Always Agree, which pretty
Spoiler.
much... Yeah, it describes most marriages, but we've been married. We just celebrated 19 years in March.
Congratulations.
March what? I want to write this down.
So you had an episode where you talked about the fact that you did ayahuasca together.
That is
right?
correct.
That is correct. Whose idea was that? And again, I mean the podcast.
It was mine.
So the podcast is my wife's idea. Ayahuasca was my idea. We're both what we like to call crunchy granola black people. So we don't really fit in the box of like typical sort of things. Like we like to do what they call white people stuff. So
you are on NPR right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm on NPR right now. That's good. That was really good. But the ayahuasca, we went to Costa Rica. It's one of the few licensed dispensaries of the medicine in the world. And I think we were interested in seeing, a friend of mine described it to me as it unlocks blind spots that you weren't aware that you had.
And can you share what your blind spots were, please?
The biggest blind spot, in all sincerity, is that we all sort of delude ourselves into thinking that we have some degree of control over what happens next. And really all we have control over is our response to what happens next. That's probably the biggest takeaway.
You know what else is a way of finding out?
Write that down.
You know what else is a way of finding out you have no control about what happens is being on stage with Tig Notaro. I want to ask you one more thing, which is I love working actors, the guys who and women who put in their time, and I love asking them about the odd jobs they might have done. Is it true that before getting into acting, you were an intern at the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. I was an economics major when I was in undergrad, and I thought that being an intern at the Fed was going to be something that led to me doing some sort of investment banking thing or what have you. And really what it led me to, Pete, was knowing that I was bored to tears working at the Federal Reserve Bank.
Really?
It's something else, yeah. Crazy.
Do you ever find yourself, since like financial policy is so much in the news, whipping out as a former employee at the Federal Reserve, I can comment.
I try to comment as little as possible. People don't want to hear from actors about most things, so I just try to stay in my lane for the most part.
Said the guy with a podcast. Well, Sterling K. Brown, it is a personal pleasure to be talking to you, and we have asked you here, in fact, to play a game that this time we're calling
A Retirement Paradise.
So your show, as we've discussed, is about a community called Paradise, very mysterious. So we're going to ask you about a community that claims to be a paradise and isn't mysterious at all, Jimmy Buffett's Latitude Margaritaville Retirement Communities.
Come on now, come on.
Answer 2 out of 3 questions about what sounds like really a terrific place to be, and you will win our prize for one of our listeners. Bill, who is Sterling K. Brown?
I mean, that sounds like where
Irene
I should
Chan
probably
of
retire.
San Francisco, California.
All right.
All right, Irene.
Here we go. Here's your first question. The Margaritaville Retirement Community calls itself Your Home in Paradise. And down there near the eastern coast of Florida, they offer a wide variety of amenities, including which of these? A, the hangar workshop, where residents are invited to, quote, trick out their golf carts. B, Jimmy Buffett karaoke, which happens every night. Or C, a nude beach.
All right, I think if you're in a retirement community, you're not trying to drop trowel.
No, I'm going with the Jimmy Buffett.
So then the first one was tricking out the golf cart. It is Florida. It's golf courses.
I'm going with the
seems
Jimmy
like
Buffett.
it's
I'm
gonna
going
be
with
the
B.
answer. And it is. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like a lot of retirement communities, because they're sort of self-enclosed, people ride around in golf carts instead of cars. And as you can imagine, drunken golf cart driving is a persistent problem down there. All right, here's your next question. You got one right. Let's go for two. Margaritaville prides itself in being a place where people, quote, 55 and better can, quote, grow old but not up, unquote. And that explains why their monthly newsletter once contained what exciting phrase? A, Bert took over the DJ booth for trap music night. B, party starts at 4 and ends when you pass out. Or C, look at all the fun our residents had at the QVC watch party.
C.
This one, I'm believing B makes the most sense. The party starts at 4 and ends whenever.
I'm pretty sure they might have said that at one time, but the one we saw was the fun at the QVC watch party. The
hurts,
line
doesn't
to get
it?
in, the QVC watch party went down the block. Now, this is all right, because there's one more to go. If you get this right, you win everything.
Okay.
Now, the founder,
You know the
of course,
sad
was
thing?
the late Jimmy Buffett, quite a remarkable
I
guy
probably
with a
would have
remarkable
joined
career, and he
QVC
found
watch
his
party.
musical success.
If there was absolutely nothing else to do, sure. I probably would have held a rogue QVC watch party in my room with cheaper alcohol.
Relatively
No,
late
you
in
go
life.
to the real watch party because they're supplying the real alcohol. You're just showing up and providing entertaining comments. They provide everything else.
Yeah, except for if the line's like out the door and down the block. I'm too old for that crap.
Well, that's why you get one of those walkers that doubles as a chair.
Yeah.
There's that too. But no, also, if I hold the rogue one myself and provide the cheaper alcohol, but then charge for it, I mean, I'm making the profit there.
Fair. That works
After
too.
years of trying and failing to be successful in music, he was just about to quit it and go into what business when he did finally have his first hit record. So, what was he going to be? A marijuana smuggler. B, he was going to go into private equity. Or C, he was going to go into the Catholic priesthood.
See?
The audience is all yelling A, marijuana smuggler.
They're saying, I hear him. I hear Chicago loud and clear.
I mean,
I gotta go with the crowd, baby. Let's go A.
Yes, it is A.
I mean, we also know that that's what he used to do.
He says that he was living down in Florida and he was just about to buy a Boston whaler to bring merchandise to the beach at night when his third album became a big hit and the Jimmy Buffett we know and love was born. Bill, how did Sterling do in our quiz?
2 out of 3. She reached paradise.
Sterling K. Brown is an Emmy and Golden Globe winning actor whose new show is Paradise, which you can stream on Hulu now or catch it Mondays on ABC starting April 7th. Sterling K. Brown, what an absolute joy to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You're the best. When we come back, we hear from Saturday Night Live veteran Vanessa Bayer and RX. We get simple.
Plan starting for... This message comes from...
From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your host at the Studebaker
I
Theater
probably
in
shouldn't
downtown
clear
Chicago,
my throat in the
Illinois.
direction of the
Peter
mic.
Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. So, as we've said, Bill and I and the rest of the crew were on vacation. And what better way to celebrate our time off than by listening to something that happened the last time we had time off?
Every time I listen, it's like I'm not there all over again.
In February of this year, for the first time ever, both Bill and I took the week off without either of us there. Is it even the same show?
It's like the ship of Theseus. or some other thing that a Stone College freshman thinks is profound.
Here's guest host Tom Papa and guest scorekeeper Chiokia Jansen talking to actor and SNL alum Vanessa Bayer, along with panelists Rachel Feinstein, Peter Gross, and Shantira Jackson.
When you look at your body of work, you have this great ability of being so sweet and likable, and then you kind of have this subversive, kind of cutting comedy. I guess my first question, in real life, are you as sweet as you look?
Oh, I mean, you could ask Rachel and Pete to an extent. I think I am sweet, but I do love to gossip.
Yes, yes.
Right.
She's very lovely and warm, but she'll get into it. Yeah.
Yes, Vanessa has never clutched pearls around me once.
It seems that your whole family has a really great sense of humor. When I've heard you talk about your family, and especially, they were especially helpful getting you through challenges when you were younger. Was that something that just came natural, or did that come out of the challenges?
I think that me, you know, particularly when I was a teenager and I had leukemia, I think my family really, their senses of humor were like really came out. And I think it made us all kind of funnier because we learned that was sort of a thing that put us at ease. It put everybody we knew at ease. And so I think it made everyone funnier.
Right, just to kind of get through it. And it's funny, I've heard you tell stories about how you start off just trying to like protect yourself and be strong, all of you just to get through it. But then when the skies started clearing and it seemed like you were going to be okay, you didn't really stop taking advantage of some of the goodwill that people had toward you.
Like, I'm pretty sure I earned some stuff forever. I would, the big term in my family was dropping the L-bomb. My dad got out of the speeding ticket because he said that I was sick. This was I was done with treatment and stuff. Using it, I feel like if you survive something like that, or honestly, if you survive anything, you should get perks forever.
Oh, yeah. At least like a Starbucks gift card. Yeah, come on.
What did you get out of when you were a teenager and got...
Well, the huge thing was gym class.
But also, I will say, to this day, you cannot climb up a rope and touch the top of the rope.
Right.
It's like one of her biggest flaws. Yeah.
Then I have to live with that.
Yeah.
So that's
a trade-off. Yeah.
I've never heard about your audition for SNL. What was that like?
I got myself into such a good headspace before my SNL audition, and I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy this. It feels like it's going to lead to positive things. I'm a real big optimist. You can tell by the way I'm telling the story, but I just was so excited to be there, and I was like, I just want to be so present for this. Sorry to sound like we get it, but I want to be so present for this.
Yeah, and did you know when you were done that you had in fact nailed it?
I was told they're not going to laugh, so don't be offended if they don't laugh. Nobody laughs.
Right.
They did laugh. I remember after my first character, they laughed, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think this was possible.
What was the character?
Was it the bar mitzvah kid?
No, I did a different little boy who is really into rocks. I didn't.
I love that there's
multiple little boys.
Incredible.
Yeah, he was really into rose quartz.
Oh, and they laughed right away.
Yeah, they laughed right away, and then they called me back a week later, and I met with Lorne, and I was told I would hear within the next day, and then so my parents stayed up all night.
Oh, that's great.
We didn't hear, and and then a week later, I got a call from my producer.
Vanessa Bayer, we've asked you here to play a game we're calling
It's a Golden Jubilee.
Okay.
You're helping SNL celebrate their golden 50th anniversary, but they're not the only one turning 50 this year. Answer our 3 questions about other things that started in 1975, and you'll win our prize for one of our listeners, the voice of their choice on their voicemail. Chioki, who is Vanessa playing for?
Liz Ward of Austin, Texas.
All right, here's your first question. Jaws turns 50 this year and wouldn't be nearly as iconic without John Williams' memorable two-note theme. When he first played it for Steven Spielberg, what was the director's response? A, he got so scared he fled the studio in terror. B, he reminded Williams that they were only paying him per note, so he better step it up. Or C, he said, quote, "That's funny, John. Really? What did you really have in mind for the theme of Jaws?"
C.
My guess is
I'm going with
You're
C.
right, C.
I wanted it to be B, but
That was fast, with confidence.
we're paying you by the note.
Here's your next question. 50 Cent turned 50 this year.
Holy
and
crap.
almost as famous as his music is his feud with fellow rapper Ja Rule. Things got so heated at one point that 50 Cent did what? A, convinced Ja Rule to invest in this super cool and not at all shady thing called the Fire Festival. B, bought 200 front row tickets to a Ja Rule concert so he'd have to perform to an empty arena. Or C, bought the URL jarule.com and made the homepage just say, more like Ja Fool.
I know this one
B.
because I've heard it before,
You're right.
but it's B.
B.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was really rough.
What a tough.
That's so funny that he did that.
I know.
Also,
He's just not the one to
So
mess
mean.
with.
All right, here's your last question.
okay.
Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton married for the second time in 1975, with Taylor
funny,
saying,
Chris.
quote, "We married once again, back where we belonged, where we always belonged." What did she say 10 months later? A, quote, "These have been the most beautiful 10 months of either of our lives." B, quote, "Were you to look up love in the dictionary, certainly you'd see a picture of Richard and me." Or C, quote, "We can't be together."
C.
I'm going to say C.
You're right, C.
Oh, just say it.
I think I'll take
Couple
D's
divorced
on this
shortly
one.
afterwards. Chioki, how did Vanessa Bayer do on our quiz?
She got all three right.
Yeah.
Nice job. Vanessa Bayer is an actor and comedian who's celebrating SNL's 50th anniversary. Vanessa Bayer, thank you so much for joining us on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Vanessa killed it.
Support for NPR and discounts of up to 80 committed to exploring the world. Discover more at Viking.com.
This message comes from Mint Mobile
Guest host Karen Shee talked with
and made it right. They offer premium wireless plans for less, and all plans include high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and nationwide coverage. See for yourself at mintmobile.com/switch.
In April, guest host Karen Shee talked with actor Brian Tyree Henry, star of the TV show Atlanta and Apple TV's Dope Thief. But Karen asked him about his greatest role ever.
Brian, I wanted to ask, you've been nominated for an Oscar, a Tony, and an Emmy. So my next question was, how does it feel to achieve the pinnacle of cinematic success? By which I mean voicing Smokey Bear.
To be honest with you, it feels like the role I was born to play.
Oh, wow.
I truly love going to national parks shirtless as often as possible. So I feel like it was a method acting gig.
Okay, wait, going off of this, though, I did have a question. Marry, Kiss, Kill, Smokey Bear, Paddington Bear, and Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, I would say marry Smokey for the benefits.
Safety, yeah.
You can get into any national park you want, so clearly.
Right.
Marry, kiss. I would kiss Paddington because, you know, he deserves it. And he'll taste like marmalade, so that's that.
Who tastes like honey?
And you gotta kill Winnie, because put your pants on.
question, which is that you've been in Transformers, The Eternals, and Spider-Man. These are all huge franchises, and I wanted to rewind all the way back in time and ask, do you remember what your very first role was?
Yes, embarrassingly enough, I was Santa Claus in my preschool production. I don't even know what this play was about, but I remember I had like a cotton ball beard, they glued this beard together. And, all the parents were there, and I was the final part of this Christmas play, and I'm playing Santa Claus, and I have Mrs. Claus with me. And we've been rehearsing all week, and literally as it comes to me, I pull my beard down and go to my teacher off the side of the stage and I go, "What's my line?" Which in a photo that my mother captured, you can see this woman full of rage going, "Merry Christmas, Brian!" And here I am now, Tony.
I like
Well, now when you do win an Oscar, you have to start off your speech by saying, "Merry Christmas."
Mary, what's my line?
Yeah. Going off of that, I wanted to ask, you've been a part of so many iconic projects, both on stage and on screen. What are you most recognized for when you're out in the world?
I believe there's a black person on this panel. Did I hear you?
Yeah, it's me.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Wait, don't tell me. It's this guy.
Yeah.
A paperboy. It always. I mean, I can be in places where there's a population of 300 people, and somebody is going to scream paperboy at me. But it's changing. It's changing. It's. I went to my local grocery store not too long ago because yes, I like to buy my own groceries. Everyone. And this woman was like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I just want to know, are you the actor from Dope Thief?" And I threw my arms around her. I was like, "Thank you so much. Yes, I am. Thank you so much." So it's all shifting, but Paperboy is usually the thing that.
Were you at? Was it the grocery? Was it Irwan? Was it the red grocery store?
Close. Close. It was Sprouts.
Oh,
yeah. How dare you? How dare you?
Irwan.
All right. All right, Brian, Tyree, Henry, we've actually invited you here to play a game that we're calling
BTH meet BTS.
That's right. You are Brian Tyree Henry, BTH, so we're going to ask you about one of the biggest bands in history, BTS. So answer 3 questions about the K-pop icons, and you'll win our prize for one of our listeners. Bill, who is Brian playing for?
Brittany Trinite of Round Rock, Texas.
Bless your heart for thinking I'll know any of these answers, but let's go.
Okay, here's your first question. After forming in 2010, BTS became one of the biggest bands in the world. They're so popular that which of these is true? A, they were the only band that Pope Francis had on his iPod. B, the crowds at BTS concerts are so loud that the noise is faintly detectable from space. Or C, almost 1 in 10 visitors to South Korea go there for BTS-related reasons.
I'm going to say the last one, 1 in 10 go to Korea.
What'd you say?
I said C.
I'm going with C. Peanut Gallery, you got a guess?
C.
All right.
10 go to Korea.
Yes, that's correct. NPR reported that BTS adds $5 billion annually to South Korea's economy.
Wow.
Oh, God.
What can K-pop do for you?
Right?
All right, Brian, here's your next question. BTS thinks a lot about their lyrics, so much so that they do what before recording them? A, run them by a women's studies professor. B, have their official fan account send out definitions for any particularly big words. And C, make sure they sound just as good screamed out loud or whispered to yourself alone in your bedroom.
A.
I think it's A.
Well, the last one I do myself, so that's I'm going to say the second one about having someone look up the words that sing.
Do you want to guess again?
I only want to be on games that gaslight me like this one. Thank you. Okay, the third one.
Listen, I'm going to give you one more guess.
Hey.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, the first one.
That's correct. All right, here's your last question. Fans were worried about the future of BTS because all South Korean men are required to complete a year and a half of military service before the age of 28. So as BTS neared their deadline, the government got involved. How? A, they negotiated a special 2-year truce with North Korea to make sure BTS would stay safe.
That's all it takes.
B, they passed a special law allowing anyone to defer their service as long as they're in a hit K-pop band. And C, they amassed a, quote, strategic BTS song stockpile.
The further service?
That's correct.
You got it.
After a bit of deferring for a world tour, all of the BTS members have since enlisted. So, Bill, how did Brian do on our quiz?
Brian, you did great. You got them all right. You're a winner.
Brian Tyree Henry is starring in Dope Thief on Apple TV+. Brian, thank you so much for joining us on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. You crushed it.
That's it for our Vacation 2 Vacation Harder edition. Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me is a production of NPR and WBEZ Chicago in association with Urgent Haircut Productions, Doug Berman, Benevolent Overlord. Our tour manager is Shana Donald. BJ Liederman composed our theme. Our program is produced by Jennifer Mills, Miles Dornbos, and Lillian King. Our vibe curator is Emma Choi. Technical direction is from Lorna White. Her CFO is Colin Miller. Our production manager is Robert Newhouse. Our senior producer is Ian Chillog. And the executive producer of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, that's Mike Danforth. Thanks to everyone you heard, all our panelists, our guests, and of course, Bill Curtis. And thanks to all of you for listening. I am Peter Sagal. We'll be back next week, revivified with a new sense of well-being. This is NPR.
This message.
Well, thank you guys for being here. That was fun. Another episode of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me in the can. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for much love, Just Me Crystal. Much love. Thank you for sticking around through that relitigation of the Menendez case. Thank you, Lockpick. Thank you, Darth Dragonis. Thank you, Chris in the 386. Thank you, Just Me Crystal. Is that everyone?
Everybody that's been in chat? Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the lurkers. Much love to everyone. Stick around for the raid. We will be raiding out to, looks like DJ BBS, over on the No Pants Sunday raid train, hosted by our dear friend Lockpick. And now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, that is not at all what I meant to do. I forgot that I can't cue them up. When I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces, we're out, y'all.